Hello, Sasha Velour.
Hello, Joe Black.
Well, when I started this podcast, you were one of my dream guests. And here we are as a bonus episode. You've appeared. You are a vision. You have, the big reveal is that this Zoom turned on and there was your beautiful glowing face smiling back at me. So it's a pleasure to see you. Well, this evening for me and this afternoon for you.
Yes.
How are you doing? Are you all right?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy that we finally could make this happen, and I could see your beautiful glowing face when the Zoom opened up, and your cat in the background, all your beautiful things. Your environment looks exactly the way I imagine your house would look.
Well, normally I record these in another room that the background is just a wardrobe. And I thought, no, today we deserve more. But also, I'm playing a game of chicken with the cats where they were asleep in the other room. And I was like, right, if I quietly set up in another room, they'll stay in there and it won't be a problem. And as I finished putting the last thing in, Klaus just tottered on in. So if at some point a cat darts across the screen or the audio cuts out, then that is the price I pay for trying to make a nice background. I've got the gramophone next to me and it was all for you.
Oh, I love it. I think the cat just knows he doesn't want to disappoint his fans.
I know, so he's there. It looks like he's just staring at the wall.
We'll see if Vanya comes through the curtain. If you see the curtain part at any point, it's probably Vanya walking through.
I would have just assumed ghosts.
That too.
Right.
I welcome them around me.
Of course, you are the conduit for which they come, the ghosts of the I don't know, some deep, dark past.
Let's hope so.
Right, to kick things off, I think I need to acknowledge something that people listening may be thinking, that you're one of a few people that when people realise we know each other, is not oh, you know them, it gets of course you do. It's one of those things people just assume, well, of course you're friends, of course you've worked together. And I can't, other than just a general vibe, I can't pinpoint exactly what it is that makes people say that. I fully agree with it and I'm fully pleased with it. But just for some reason there's a connection here because I followed you on the internet before a certain television show, and when you were announced on that, I remember just sort of pointing at my laptop and going, I know that one.
I remember the moment that we found each other on the Instagrams of pre-Drag Race days.
How did it happen? Because you were just there, and I remember thinking, they're really cool.
It was, okay, I remember there was a comment, I think, and you tagged Aaron and said, this looks like our drag baby.
Oh.
Because I was like, ears and bald, but with a Marlene Dietrich face. And I think that it clearly, since I am the love child of Nosferatu and Marlene Dietrich, it felt like we were long lost family.
And just the internet really, really brings everyone together, doesn't it?
Truly.
I couldn't remember how it happened. But well, there we go. Mystery solved. Exclusive here. That lived in your mind. Now it's here to be shared. But what we are here for, because obviously we are kindred spirits and we should be on stage together. In fact, that is happening. On
Yet
March,
again.
Yeah, one again and again on March 10th in Brighton. But you are embarking on the big reveal tour, starting in the US this Friday.
Yes, we're going to Florida.
Nice, and you got Victoria
Friday.
Elizabeth Black.
With Victoria Elizabeth Black.
And I want to talk to you about these guests because I've got just the UK notes here. Sure. So in London, you have Chio. In Brighton, you have me. In Birmingham, it is Black Pepper. In Manchester, Cheddar Gorgeous. Newcastle, Teresa May. Cardiff, Victoria Scone. And Glasgow, Ginger Johnson. That is, it just all makes sense, despite all of those people being wildly different.
It's just people I'm desperate to work with and perform with.
I was going to say, what's the inspiration behind the guests on this tour? Because you've got different people in every place, and looking through their list, I was like, well, that makes sense. It all clicks. What was the kind of inspiration for having guests on the tour?
It's like the show is kind of set in my living room. It's like an early 2000s living room, the place I first watched TV and became obsessed with pop culture. So because the setting is like, it's a tea party, you have to have a friend over for shows, for dress up and shows. And so it was a perfect excuse to bring in some conversation with another drag artist. And I love, we don't exist in bubbles. We cannot survive doing drag without each other and without these like relationships. And so I just need more opportunities like this. So I'll make my own. To do a number together and a featured spot on stage.
I mean, how much are we willing to say? How much do we want to give away? You say number together, but can we say anything to the nature? Okay, well, you have got me on March 10th at Brighton Dome. You have got me lip syncing for the first time since Drag Race for this. And I normally, if someone would suggest such a thing, I would say no. But I think if Sasha Velour asks, you just say yes.
I'm so honored.
You get to see my terrible, terrible dancing skills.
Oh, well, I'm right there with you. It's all about the passion, really.
It's the drive, gesture. The fire within. Just like hands. What made you pick all the guests you've got, other than just that you wanted to work with them? What was the kind of the thing that links you and every individual person you've chosen?
I think I recognize people who are also like kind of nerds about drag on some level. People who love doing their little research and have their own kind of realm of expertise. I feel like I'm never drawn to one specific style of drag. I just love people who like go for what they do with their full fantasy and might. And that's like, I feel like that's what ties you all together. That's what I love about you, Joe Black.
I was thinking. But what was nice though, you said there was a kind of I don't know if you said reference point, but that's what you were getting at, wasn't there? There's like a real anchor to each of them. And that's what I think when people always say, what's your biggest advice to anyone performing? It's like, you find, beyond the world of drag, don't look at necessarily another drag performer as a reference point. There's something culturally or pop culture, and then you can build and make yourself identifiable from something that clearly you love, because the greatest art comes from, like, you can tell when people love it.
Yeah, that's so true. And that's right. And when, I love what you're saying. Right, the reference comes from, like, your life and the things that speak to you, not just, like, other kinds of drag.
Yeah, because that's open to interpretation as well, because, two people who love Marlene Dietrich, for instance, can have an outlet with that in two entirely different ways.
Just for example.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, someone can go pure classic tribute act. Someone can do a parody. Or just go, oh, it's this face, and then I put this with this. It's open to the interpretation of a gothic glamour to it, despite being, classic Hollywood glamour. It's anchored in some sort of love of something and then expanding from there. And again, with this list of guests, every single one of them, I think you can really clearly see that they have a really identifiable brand. Feels like a dirty word when I'm saying that now, because we're talking about artists.
Aesthetic is the brand of the arts, I believe.
I don't know. Do you think? I don't know why it felt like a dirty word suddenly. Any other time I'd be like branding.
It's so dirty.
Filthy,
capitalism.
Filthy.
It's filthy, but it helps us survive in this hideous world. So we gotta run with it.
We just gotta keep turning on that machine, keep churning. But so the big reveal show. We've spoken about the guests, but let's talk about you. It's all about you.
It's about time. No.
What inspired you to do this show? Because I saw Smoke and Mirrors, and I will get to that later. But let's work backwards. We're going to go to what's happening now, and then...
I know, I was thinking the last time we saw each other was in the dressing room of the Brighton Dome, which
No,
is
it
a
wasn't.
very full circle moment.
It
Or
wasn't.
was it not? Where was it?
I saw you in New York.
I'm like, oh my god! Oh, that was just last year.
Yeah,
Jesus.
I just randomly appeared in New York. I was there and someone was like, "Oh, Sasha's doing was it called Vamp?"
Yeah, at Lincoln Center.
Yeah, and
my
it was a
God.
free event, and somebody registered or sorted me a guest list or something. So it was Show Pony sorted me.
That's right. Oh my god! Of
it was-
course.
That
You
was
got to see my dumb vampire bat act.
well. I mean, I'm gonna get to this
Okay.
later because that was a real. The power of seeing you in kind of your city was really special because I'm so used to seeing you where you don't
In
live.
your city.
Yeah, exactly. But so yeah,
Okay,
what was
what were
the
you asking? Oh, the inspiration for the show.
yeah?
Oh, speaking, I have Vanya here.
Hello.
He just left.
I was very starstruck when I met Vanya.
He's quite a star. He's very rude to his fans, but you know.
Didn't he was had zero interest in me.
Oh well. I don't want you to risk seeing my horrible office behind me. Okay, the inspiration for Big Reveal Live show. I guess it's the book. You know, I wrote this book. I spent basically the quarantine times trying to write a history of drag told through my own life story, and then the whole time I was like, God, writing is horrible. I just wish I was creating drag numbers about this. So once it was all done, I tried to turn each chapter into a drag number. And that was really the birth of the Big Reveal Live show. Because I realized, turned into drag numbers, all the tragedy, all the theory, it all just became so much more fun in drag. So much more anarchic and like camp and with a little wink and sexy. Suddenly, you know, that's the power of drag, is that it gives us enough like distance and style to be able to appreciate things sometimes that we're too close to with the eye of an outside observer, and then we can laugh at ourselves and take little notes about things maybe we hadn't realized before.
Well, it gives it through the eye of camp.
Exactly. Everything needs an element of failure and distastefulness to really sing.
That's life, isn't it?
Truly.
I mean, I wish the book was. Where is it? I think it's over there. I can't reach it, otherwise I'll knock a microphone over. But as you were talking, I was gonna just slowly bring it.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't remember.
Where is it? No, but it is in my possession. Pink. I loved it. I devoured it in, I think, it was a day or two. It was a very short space of time because I just couldn't stop.
Isn't that life? I spent 3 years on something and you read it in a day. But
I think not because it was short. Not because it was short. Because it was just my insatiable hunger for it. I couldn't stop.
Thank you.
It was like the illustrations, the words. It was, for anyone who hasn't read it, it's a history of drag. It's a beautiful art book, part autobiography. It just kind of, it gives a really beautiful insight into you as a person and you as an artist, as well as kind of the art form as a whole. And I feel like people can get to know you better via the art you're talking about, as well as on a personal level through it. And it was really, really very, very beautiful. And it was one of those, you know, when I sort of finished it, I was sort of sad that I'd finished it because I was like, I want to experience it again.
You.
For
what
for
a
the
rave
first
review.
time. I know. I think I sent you like a really rambling voice note afterwards, just being like, "I just want to say thank you for your art." Really, 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 really wonderful. So, for those who have read it, it is that brought to life, and for those who have not read it, it's that brought to life. Did you do
it is brought to life.
Is the whole book included in the show? Oh my God, does it work like a program then?
Kind of. I mean, loosely, because the drag logic, even the book doesn't have the most linear shape, but I kind of followed the idea that each number, just like each chapter, there's a bit of there's some kind of autobiographical story that it references in my mind. I don't lay that out. That would be horribly boring, I think. To be like, and now I'm going to dramatize my teen years. But sometimes in my head it is that. And then there's some kind of reference to a style of drag performance. So every number, a different style of drag performance, a different moment from my life that I can draw on, kind of hitting multiple things at once. And of course, a different kind of big reveal. Because there's so many kinds. It's not just wig or costume reveals. There's reveals of a metaphysical nature. There's set reveals or story reveals that we can get to as well. Prop. I love a prop. And there's no shortage.
You love a prop. You love a projection. You sort of, in a way, with the reveal thing, sort of popularized it for the finale of Drag Race. But I was thinking about this today, in that you're kind of the simplicity of yours it gets sort of missed by a lot of people that are trying to recreate that moment. And I think it sort of goes to show that you don't need to be the most huge, ridiculous thing for high impact. Like when, if someone hasn't seen it, you could describe it as, a wig is lifted and rose petals came out. And then how some people who have interpreted that to try and get that gasp effect is like, essentially they look like a tent because they're hiding so much underneath it. And there's just why I guess yours made the biggest impact. It was the beauty of it, in the simplicity, and it's always strange to see how other people go, cool, well that had a big effect, and how far they go, but no matter how much they throw at it, it doesn't quite hit the same way.
Right.
Is that an illustrator thing, maybe? Because you're used to, you can't throw everything at an illustration.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because I chart out my numbers like drawing a comic book, I see what the beginning, middle, and end are going to look like. And if the beginning announces where you're going, you've failed already.
Well, it's not really a reveal, is it?
No.
It's an opening.
It's supposed to be surprising. So if you do come out in a giant balloon of an outfit, you should do something with it that is the opposite of what is expected. Like maybe it gets bigger.
Just like flames.
Yeah, exactly.
Or really subvert expectations and you open it and there's nothing there.
There's nothing there. Wow.
And
it
then
just ends. It goes blackout right at that moment.
As it's about to open, blackout, done.
Yes, that's drag.
With the, not necessarily physical reveals on this tour, it feels almost like you're preparing magic tricks. That's sort of how my brain reads it. It's like some sort of, not that necessarily you're going to get sawn in half, as was featured in Smoke and Mirrors, but you've got a sort of magician quality about you, I think.
I love it. I think they kind of overlapped for a time, like looking at that early vaudeville era, which is like the beginning of popular entertainment before TV. It was, gender illusionists and magicians together. I think the thing I like about drag is you're not really trying to trick or frighten people or confuse them. Like, you can kind of tell how we do our illusions, and that doesn't take away from the magical quality. It just adds to them.
Well,
the expertise it takes to pull it off.
Well, it's a suspension of disbelief in a way. And I guess, going on to Smoke and Mirrors, actually, was, as the title would suggest, about smoke and mirrors, right? It's what you see isn't necessarily what it is. And there was a particular... Are you going to be doing that show again, by the way? I don't know how much, if I'm going to...
No, probably not.
You're not? Okay, so it doesn't matter if I give... At the end, you get sawn in half, basically. And everyone knows there's not three of you on stage. But you're looking at it and going, there's multiple Sashas on stage. They're being sawn in half. There is a lightning storm happening. They're getting electrocuted. You just sort of go along with it.
I love it.
And maybe it is a magic act what you're doing, but not in the traditional sense. In the hearts of the people.
the real magic is the community we made all along the way. Yeah, I do have like I loved magic shows when I was a kid, so I know
Yeah.
that's like to your point about, our drag is referential to all of the culture we love outside of the current pop culture. I was always obsessed with magic. Where did your like early dark side come from, would you say?
You,
Because I sense you were like a gothic child as well.
oh yeah.
Morose little
Yeah,
darling.
I wore a lot of black lipstick to school, despite it, of course, resulting in dreadful bullying, as it would, because I grew up in a rough naval town in the south of England, and wearing black lipstick and dyeing my hair black and white to go to school wasn't
Wow.
wasn't ideal.
Icon.
Do you mean aesthetically or performatively?
I think I mean like in terms of your like internal fantasies. Like how did you recognize that like a little bit of danger, moroseness was for you?
I think as a child, and I've spoke about this before, and I can't remember where, but I got bought like a face painting kit, and I would make myself up as the Joker and recreate the death of the Joker in the 80s Tim Burton one with Jack Nicholson when he falls off the top of the cathedral, and I would jump off my bed. I made up as the Joker and pretend that I've just been killed by Batman. That was
Why?
and then I also there was I made a joke about this. I did a show about villains where I realised I was a dark child, was where I would hold teddy bears' hands or paws over the side of a bed and lean in and go, "Long live the king," and drop them. So I didn't want to be Simba. I wanted to be Scar.
Of course. Those queer codes, we just can't help but recognize ourselves.
I know. You see a camp
characters.
villain, and you're like, "That's me." I can't explain it.
It's so
I was
true.
listening to an interview with you today, in preparation, and you mentioned the Wicked Witch of the West comes up quite a bit. Do you think there is a subsection of children get split into ones that look at the Good Witch, ones that look at Dorothy, and ones that look at the Wicked Witch, and that's quite indicative of how you turn out?
Yes. I can't even imagine watching that movie and not relating to the Wicked Witch.
Same. I mean, any of the films as a kid, I don't remember any cartoons that I watched. I was clearly only fascinated with the villains.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe this is it. This is what linked us, was that we were the same child.
Exactly.
What was your
Acting
first?
out death.
What was your first one of real? Obviously, you've spoken about it a few times of recreating the Wicked Witch of the West death. But what was the sort of, on hindsight, the first moment for you where you went, I might be different?
I mean, I think it probably was witch related because I wanted to just wear that outfit around the neighborhood beyond Halloween. It was shocking on Halloween because there was, little girls dressed up as the Wicked Witch and they couldn't really pull it off the way I could. So it became,
Of course not.
it became quite a scandal on the neighborhood block in, rural Connecticut where I spent the first years of my life. And then, I think just realizing, like, to other people, this was, like, embarrassing that I wanted to dress that way. That's where I was like, okay, it must be different. Because to me, this is absolutely fabulous.
But did you recognize that at the time that people were... You say embarrassed. That feels horrible to say, doesn't it? When you think about it, going, people were embarrassed of me as a child. Is that something you recognize then, or was that a hindsight thing?
It was kind of explained to me. I have this really intense memory of, like, other kids at school saying, like, boys do not do that. Even, like, it was, like, my favorite color was purple. And someone said, boys don't like purple. Like, just, like, very simple. Of course, it's like, how does a child come up with this rule? They must hear it at home. Mm-hmm. Someone must have said it to them. I have no idea. But, like, people were really intent on making me feel something I just couldn't bring myself to feel, which is embarrassment for wanting to be a little cross-changer. But I think that goes to the fact that my grandmothers were one of my grandmothers in particular was kind of
Dina.
a drag queen herself. Grandma Dina. Yes, see, she's read the book. She's read the book, ladies and gentlemen, and those beyond the binary. And she was like, she had an hour of beauty routine every morning before she allowed herself to be seen or especially photographed. And so to her, it was just wonderful that I got it. I was like, I inherited her fabulousness in her mind, and she just encouraged it.
In an interview, you said that it was an hour for her armor.
Exactly. I think it was very real because she was an immigrant. She had an accent, and I think being very beautiful and glamorous made her feel like she could survive in a world that wasn't always welcoming to her. And I feel like that's something that we relate to as well.
Yeah, there was something in when I was listening to, and I wish I had noted it down, but it was something about the more adversity means the more. Something about more glamour or
it's
more
like
glamour
theatrical. Like you understand drama when you've had a dramatic life, when you've been ripped from your home or seen people die. You understand drama on a cellular level, and I think that leads you to be theatrical in every interaction.
Well, I think it's one of those things, isn't it, where someone leads a perfectly kind of heteronormative life, and then something can happen to them, and that's how you end up with the wears entirely lime green, has 400 cats, because they just go, fuck it, life's for living.
It's so true.
Because it's that wake-up call of like, why am I trying to fit into societal norms here? Fuck 'em.
Right. Yeah, life is too short and too hard to not have fun. So whatever speaks to you, if it's lime green and a ton of cats, couldn't be me.
That will be me.
I do quite love lime green, but I'm very allergic to cats. Tragically.
Oh, it'll be me in swamp green, like a murky ivy.
I see it on your nails, and it's stunning.
Yeah, I love this. And also, kind of from further away, it looks like my nails have started rotting.
Yes,
which
but
I quite
shiny.
like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
as long as it's glossy, a little decay is delightful.
Rot, but glamour.
Exactly. Throw some glitter on the rot.
You unlocked a core memory with me then when you were saying about dressing up as a witch as a child, because I remember, just to go back to your point of when did you realise, the dressing up box in school, I always tried to dress as a witch, and I remember getting taken aside and a teacher going, "Boys aren't witches." Yeah, it wasn't the other kids. Or at least I don't remember it being the other kids, but I remember it being a teacher that was like, and I think they spoke to my mum and was like, "Joe is essentially being an evil witch all the time. He needs to mix it up a little bit. Boys shouldn't be doing this." But I think I just wanted to be Rita Repulsa from the Power Rangers.
Oh, excellent! An amazing witch from.
Oh yeah, I hadn't
90s
watched clips.
children.
I hadn't watched clips of her for years, and then a few weeks back just was like, I wonder what she was actually like, and it's camp.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Dude, were you a Rita Repulsa kind of child?
Yes, well, I wasn't actually allowed to watch TV for a while.
Oh.
So I missed like a section of pop culture, including the Power Rangers, tragically.
But you got your witches in other places.
I found my witches in old Hollywood was the exception to, my parents deemed that classy enough for me to be allowed to enjoy it. So I got the old movies, which is why I'm such a, vintage crone these days.
See, I wish I had those ones early on. That was later for me.
I see.
I had the campy children's pop culture ones. You had that. I mean, because your parents are very sort of academic.
Yes.
So it was that kind of highbrow. What's the word I'm trying? That sort of. I guess you were sort of injected with that.
Yeah, and because they did not grow up in academic houses themselves, like it was a very important part of their identity that they needed to, expose me to. And now, I'm a reality TV star, so I've really gone quite as far the opposite direction as I could.
Oh, I'm going to disagree with you here, because though you may have had a boost by the reality television. I think out of everyone from that show, you, for me, remain someone that's absolutely continuing to do just what they want to do and put out into the world.
Yeah.
You know, obviously there's that kind of art versus commerce thing where people have to do some things for money. But as far as your solo shows go and your own projects go, it feels 100% you.
Yeah.
And
I feel like I don't know how to do anything else. So that's just like, if I want to keep doing drag at the volume and the intensity that I love it, it's got to be my own style. That's what I have.
I was going to say, was it a battle at first at any point where you had other voices going, no, just try to pander to this and this? Or was it just you were always like, nope?
Yeah, there's, as you know, there's lots of advice out there.
Yes.
And particularly, I think when you're doing it in the context of someone else's show, it feels like, okay, I have to do the kind of performance you're looking for from me. So I found that, like, I guess I started mainly doing my own producing work as well, so that I'm going to be doing my drag in a show that I'm producing so that I know there's space for me to do it the way that I believe is correct for the audience and for myself. And that's sort of like, it's been easy to follow that track for a number. Well, easy, a constant uphill battle that involves lots of work from both myself and my partner Johnny behind the scenes to make it all work. But it's so worth it because I feel like I am doing the kind of drag that excites me every time I step on stage.
Well, there's something I saw from a performer in the UK called Myra Dubois. I don't know if you're familiar. Character act. Can't call them drag because they'll get furious. They are like Dina Martina. They are a character act. But they've made not to out them because they put this publicly, so it's there, that they wanted to do sort of less stuff now, and they wanted to do things that, how they phrased it was things that count.
Yeah.
And it, putting aside working all the time to go against the grind, they now have found that they've enjoyed everything they've done more because everything mattered to them.
Yes.
They weren't just getting on with it. That's the same for you now?
That's a beautiful way to describe it. I think, like, it's so easy to get burnt out. We have to work a lot to even be able to afford to do this thing we love, to be able to afford our beautiful costumes and hairs and, the traveling that it takes. And I think I had to kind of stop following any kind of other people's ideas for what my career would look like, because I was starting to lose the joy and also not have time to create anything new. I love to be able to make the time I'm most excited is trying a new idea and carrying that through. So I find I have to make sure that I have time for that, time to myself, I guess, to do drag for me, because I guess art has to be for us on some level.
Well, yeah, and I always say that if I had to change what I do at its very core, then I'd rather just not do it. And it's easy. I mean, I don't know if it's easy to say, but I'm blessed enough that I can kind of be authentically myself and still manage to pay the bills.
Oh, you've done so well. You have such a strong point of view when it comes to drag. It would be heartbreaking to see that get sacrificed.
But it was the sacrifice was that I had to admit, again, why I think we're similar. It suddenly sounds like I'm talking about myself. That I, from the very beginning, was like, nope, this is what I do, and I can accept that I won't be okay for this, and this, and that's not the right opportunities for me.
Right.
And obviously because your kind of stardom blew up so quickly and so huge that you must have had so many voices all sort of going, come to this, just do this, it will be easy, you'll make lots of money, come over here.
I wish there had been more of that, frankly. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it's so true. I think, and a lot of times, even people who think how shall I phrase this generously? Like people, you know, who think they understand what your unique style is, but then put a label on it that feels like, oh God, when you describe it like that, like I don't want to be that kind of queen. So I think it really, there's like a unique balance to our own style that maybe only we understand.
Yeah, and then the audiences that want to see that are the ones that are coming. They get it.
That's right.
There was another interview where you said that pre-Drag Race you sort of only worked in Manhattan on Halloween. And you were just on the
Thanks
subject
to Bob,
of labels.
Bob the Drag Queen and Ms. Cracker are the only people who booked me, but for Halloween.
Yeah, but that's that label thing, isn't it? Where they've gone, well, you're a bit kooky. Let's have you on October 31st only.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Which actually brings me to the point of seeing you in New York. Because I was there on holiday. Well, part holiday, and then it was to see Jinx in Chicago. Because I had to see that moment.
It was an amazing moment, wasn't it?
It would have killed me to have not witnessed both a friend and a colleague and a drag performer do that in that show. So I was like, I have to go to New York. I have to go see it. And it was just so beautifully timed with you performing at the Lincoln Center, it was so wonderful because I'm so used to seeing people on my home turf, that to see people on their home turf, and there was a real palpable energy around you being there, but it felt like a community. It didn't feel like we've got this special guest and this never happens, and it was like Sasha is home. We love Sasha. Yes,
yeah.
that was what it is. And community's obviously community's massive for you in sort of everything you do. Obviously with Big Reveal, you've got all these guests. But I'd like to talk about nightgowns, which is one of those things, again, that I get a lot of people say to me, so you've done nightgowns. I'm very jealous. But it was the London one, not the New York one. But when you toured the show, I was a guest in it. And it was an amazing, amazing show. How was sort of the evolution of that been? Where, scrappy bar show at the beginning, is that fair to say?
Oh, very.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was good, but scrappy.
Yeah, of course. But it, just because something's scrappy doesn't mean it's not, exciting and amazing. And it's just, there's a real rawness to it. And there's, from what I've seen on the internet, that the raw heart of it is continued throughout its iterations. Yeah. What has that kind of progress with that been like for you?
I mean, I think it just was so unusual that I did not abandon my bar show after getting on Drag Race. Like, quite the opposite. I was like, let me use this newfound attention to just amplify this show that has been my home and has been my context for my drag all this time. And I feel like it continues to change and evolve with me. The like common thread is that it's all about the guests and about having kind of being only able to get a full picture of the art of drag when it's multiple of us doing our thing in all of our different ways to the best of our abilities. That's when you get a full picture for all of the beauty that can be in this art. And it's it's pretty simple. Just I make the lighting right for them, make sure their sound is beautiful, tell the audience about how to listen carefully, and then how to cheer at the top of their lungs. And we have a beautiful evening together.
Yeah. I mean, producing variety shows is one of my greatest pleasures in life. And so everything you're saying there, like that full picture, is that I get sometimes more excited at the idea of presenting other people than I do my own bits. I'll figure out what I want to do, and it's kind of for its small little snapshots throughout a show. Yeah. But I mostly like, if someone asks about the show, I'm not like, oh, I'm doing this song. It's like, the guests are amazing. I've got this person who does this.
It's always that.
How do you pick people for nightgowns? Like, is it, you just have in your black book in your mind, just
Oh my gosh, it's heartbreaking because I feel like I always have like a big list of people, and I consult with trusted voices like Miss Malice, who's the host of Switch and Play, who did the Vamp show at Lincoln Center, and one of my closest friends. I'll ask all the experts about who are you most excited about in the scene. I try to have it mostly be people who live in the city, which is New York for now, until we take it worldwide, which has always been my dream. And then, I'll just try to like arrange kind of a evening that makes sense. But then usually, like, because of people's schedule, something gets completely out of whack. And I'm like, is this night going to make sense with this group of people? And that's always the best one. The one that seems the most random.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I'll look at lineups and go, oh, I've gone a bit weird with it. Like, I'll book something
brilliant.
and there's obviously, I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, I find that there's a balance of kind of art versus not commerciality, because if I was interested in that, I would have done something else with my life. But the kind of like that even if something is maybe challenging or bizarre or grotesque, that it still has a clear entertainment factor.
Yeah.
Because when I did Nightgowns, there was the names. I remember someone doing a very intense performance art piece, but it still was amazing and made sense amongst all of the group of people that were there. It was the mix that made it really beautiful. That it was something very silly, followed by something very intense.
Yeah.
Again, then something silly, then something angry, then just something beautiful. Like it was.
Exactly. I feel like doing that kind of show with other people taught me how to do a one-person show too. Because I was like, okay, those are all the notes I have to hit now on my own. So I always think about those kinds of great nights of a drag show.
I love the phrase hitting those notes because it just makes me think of like a conductor.
Yes.
Throughout a suite that is trying to bring it to that
time for the mania, and then a little depression, and then and then a little regret, and now self-empowerment returns.
I like a little dash of regret that always makes something so beautiful. Is there a tried and trusted formula for you when you're creating shows? Do you go like have an idea of I want to make people very sad here, and that is influenced by things around it, or vice versa, that things build from that?
Nothing that formal. I like to make people laugh right at the top so that they know they have permission to find anything funny. And then I do like to make people cry a little bit, like right towards the end, but not like too much as the last. Sometimes that's the very last moment. Let me be honest. I find when they leave like a little, it's very memorable. A tear. Crying in public, you never forget that. So if I can make that, if I can engineer it with the tempo of the night, I think that's successful.
On my last tour, there was a moment in the show that I would make people cry, and I didn't expect it to happen, but then I got a bit addicted to the power. Like it was my favorite.
You feel it. You feel the catharsis as well. It's like a good cry. You need that for your mental balance, and so to be able to time it out every night, that's good for us.
There's a satisfaction of people afterwards coming up and going like, God damn you! You in an interview with Dua Lipa, you referred to an energy you enjoy in drag as vengeful and powerful.
I love vengeful femininity. It takes us back to our witches.
It's just as a description of like an aesthetic and a vibe, vengeful. But it feels so good. It feels good to say. It feels good as an idea. Is that been a common thing throughout that you were like, we just need just that little dash of vengeance there?
Of vengeance. I find being, not just slighted, but sometimes just underestimated. It's a common feature for people in our community, for people like us. And so to channel that kind of frustration into a sense of like, not only can I work miracles, but I will get vengeance for what you have done to me or the people I love. I think that that's the kind of fantasy that we turn to drag for. So
I like.
think it's very welcome.
I'm imagining you were saying that people underestimate, and obviously you've achieved so much. And there was a moment there I was like, the success is for vengeance. It's to prove everyone wrong. And you've done it so beautifully.
There's a strong element of that fuels. I found it to be quite motivating.
It was sort of a Dr. Frankenstein situation, just you going, I'll show them all.
Yes.
Again, I've called you a magician, a witch, Dr. Frankenstein.
A scientist. Mm-hmm.
A scientist. I think all of these things are related.
I think you see yourself reflected right back in these terms.
Me personally, or
yes, absolutely.
Oh, I don't feel very vengeful. I just mostly feel tired, to be honest with you.
Explain where that tone of voice comes from, then, because I see a sense of ominousness in how you say everything.
Well, I don't know what it is. I love the villains so much that I just started talking like them.
I see.
I've been trying to do some voice acting stuff, and I went for some auditions in casting days, and I just find myself being like, "And you sad little man."
Oh my god, it's like butter to my ears.
Wickedness. Is that so? Beautiful. Wickedness, vengeance, it all fuels you.
It does. It just makes me smile.
Good.
Which, however that worked out.
I think it worked out well. I have a last few questions for you, if I may. Now, this is something I like to ask everyone that has been on here. And there's two. So, firstly, what is your favourite thing you've ever done? Doesn't necessarily mean professionally, just within your, maybe both personally and artistically. Is there something that it doesn't have to be the biggest accomplishment, but the biggest accomplishment for you?
I've ever done. Oh my gosh, it's hard. There's a lot of things.
That's why I love this question, because some of the answers I've got, someone said it was going to see the Red Hot Chili Peppers. That was their favourite thing.
Who said that?
Dr. Kate Lister.
Oh my god. Wow, how interesting. Favorite thing I've ever done. Oh my gosh, you put me on the spot. I think I do. Burned into my memory is this moment that I took like a private walk through the Folies Bergère dressing room space when I got to do Smoke and Mirrors there, and touch all the surfaces that they told me Josephine Baker had also touched or looked at herself reflected in. And that was a big moment in life that I just took for myself, thinking like, I'm a real performer now.
That feels like a ritual.
So that was important. It was like a magic communing. You're talking about the ghosts that I welcome into my house. I think I want to be always haunted by the performers that have inspired queer people in the past, or queer performers. Because we've been there.
That show, after you did that, did you feel the spirit of Josephine Baker with you?
I did, and Barbette and Marlene Dietrich and all the performers that have inspired me through their revolutionary queer activities on the stage.
When you're in Brighton, I'm gonna see if I can swing it. But there's a Theatre Royal. The main star dressing room has a big picture of Marlene Dietrich, and then the date of when she performed at the theatre, and that is supposedly was her dressing room.
Oh my God, that's
whenever
amazing.
I've done a show there, I would throw someone off the balcony to get in there. Nothing stops me being in there. And it was full of ants one year, and I do not care because those were Marlene Dietrich's ants.
They were.
But when you're here, I'm
tuxedos.
Oh yeah, tiny little tuxedos, smoking cigarettes, giving other little, the boy ants were giving the boy ants kisses, the girl ants were giving the girl ants kisses, the non-binary ants were giving the non-binary ants kisses. It was all very salacious. It was all in black and white.
I would expect
stunning.
nothing else.
And my final question for you: does there remain a dream thing for you to do? Because from where I'm standing, you've accomplished some pretty beautiful, wonderful, dream come true things. But is there something that you're working towards, or is maybe even a pipe dream because it's not physically or metaphysically possible? Or what's the dream? The dream.
The dream, I guess, is perhaps to write a play that could be on Broadway or something like that. I've gotten to tour my drag show, but I think drag belongs in the halls of theater as part of the history of stage, and I would love to help bring drag to that place. So maybe I'll have my moment. Like Jinx before me on Broadway, maybe I'll have my moment up there soon. I've written something. We'll see if I can get it there.
And you were saying that writing books was fucking
that sucks.
But that combines the writing with the to life.
Yeah.
The stage of it.
I love it.
And I think that's beautiful. And I do look forward to when this Broadway show opens that you're dreaming of. I will get on that flight again, like I did for Chicago, and I'm going to go to New York, and I'm going to go, I ain't missing out on this moment. That will be me. Sasha Velour, it has been a joy chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining me.
I love you so much. I'm really looking forward to twirling on the stage, causing chaos with you, as we always do, and to reuniting in the dressing room of the historic dome. I love you so much.
Too. And yes, Sasha Velour will be touring the big reveal throughout the UK and Europe, and I'll add a little list of dates
come see us in March.
After this is recording. Come see us on March 10th, but also if you're not in Brighton, go to all the other ones. After this, I'll add in all the dates. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Well, that was me and Sasha Velour. I hope you enjoyed that. Please give us a nice rating on here so that, we're all well rated when series 3. I don't think season's applicable. Series. It's a series of things. Anyway, the big reveal tour kicks off this Friday in Clearwater, Florida. And there's a couple of dates in the US before coming to the United Kingdom, hitting London, Brighton, Birmingham, Manchester, Newcastle, Glasgow, and Cardiff. And then it goes on its merry way into Europe. You can get your tickets from sashavelour.com. That's SashaVelour.com. That's sashavelour.com. That was my infomercial there. Again, thanks so much for listening. It's lovely to be back in ears. Please do send nice messages about the episode. Tell me what you thought. Tell your friends, because the more people that listen, the more I'll be sort of guilted or what's the word I'm looking for? Not guilted. Maybe I do mean that. I'll be guilted into doing more episodes because I'll be like, oh, people said such lovely things. I really must do more. Galvanized. That should be a word. It is a word, but that should maybe be the word I mean. Galvanized. I don't know if that's correct either. Anyway, here I am talking shite, which means that this was an episode of the Joe Black Meets podcast. Thank you for joining me.